It's ironic they're talking about, that they don't want a Cold War and that, there shouldn't be these closed blocks when that is exactly what's happening. We are clearly in another Cold War.
And the closed block against the closed block of Russia and China.
Well, what is interesting is prior to Russia actually full-on invading Ukraine, there was a bunch of analysis about how, China actually doesn't really want Russia to invade Ukraine because then it would, Ukraine, because when Putin started talking about these Russian parts of Ukraine, that's like, that's impinging on the sovereignty of Ukraine. And, because China cares so much about its own sovereignty over Taiwan and Hong Kong, then they would look hypocritical if they supported Russia over this. Or, China also has a good relationship with Ukraine and does business with Ukraine, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of analysis that I think basically wasn't taking into considering what you're saying, essentially, is that Russia and China are definitely working together.
Yeah. Well, newsflash, hypocrisy does not deter the CCP.
No, not at all. But,
it also doesn't deter the analysts who are wanting to believe that, China is our friend. The last quote talks about the military. The sides call for the establishment of a new kind of relationship between world powers on the basis of mutual respect, peaceful coexistence, and mutually beneficial cooperation. They, Russia and China, reaffirm that the new interstate relations between Russia and China are superior to political and military alliances of the Cold War era. Friendship between the two states has no limits. There are no forbidden areas of cooperation. This is China and Russia. Strengthening of bilateral strategic cooperation is neither aimed against third countries nor affected by the changing international environment and circumstances changes in third countries. I mean, that's clear to me that they're best friends forever,
Well, so since this is a Cold War, this goes way beyond just Ukraine. It goes beyond Taiwan.
Yes.
How can, I guess, the West wake up and actually put a stop to this?
Well, we need to start standing up. We need to figure out what is our goals, what are our strategy, what are our means and ways to get to those goals, and we need to follow through. As you recall, the Trump administration declassified their Indo-Pacific strategy that was written in 2017. They published it just before the Biden administration came in. So they clearly had a strategy and what they wanted to do. They obviously didn't complete it because we had a new administration. But the new administration is supposed to come out with a new national security strategy. I suspect that the president is going to announce it on the 1st of March when he gives his State of the Union speech. And if it's not in that document, then we still don't have a clue of what we're doing and how we're moving forward. But I think we need to stand up and figure out what exactly are we willing to, what are our vital interests? That's the bottom line.
Definitely being able to post on TikTok.
That's important.
That is.
Well, I mean, it just feels like we're watching a very slow motion train crash.
Perfect analogy.
And I don't know. I mean, what can we do about it at this point? Is there anything that American people can do about it?
Well, if the politicians can't figure out what our vital interests are and what our strategy and ways and means of getting there, if the politicians can't figure it out, then I guess we need to help them or have somebody else do it.
I guess the midterms are coming up.
Well,
a little late for Ukraine.
I mean, well, here's a question actually about something we were talking about earlier about how China is watching Russia and how they're taking Ukraine. And I think there was some feelings like, oh, well, Russia is just going to do this incrementally. Like they're gonna declare that these like separatist parts of Ukraine are independent states, then they're gonna bring their military in to help them, and then maybe they'll go across the border a little bit, past where that red line was. But then suddenly they decided, oh no, we're gonna invade from three sides. I think there's a lot of talk about how China is approaching the South China Sea with the salami slicing, or approaching Taiwan with things like the ADAs, flying aircraft into their ADAs, like things that seem like slow. But could China suddenly decide to, okay, now we're just going to suddenly do it?
Yes. See, both Russia and China have a very long history of deception in their military. So what the Russians did was deception. They made everyone think that it was going to be a slow roll, kind of pacing kind of event, and then suddenly they changed it. That was a deception event. If you have an opportunity to read Protracted War by Mao, he says that deception is not only essential in war, it should be used to the maximum. There's never not enough deception. That's how he uses the phrase. So whatever they're doing to make us lull into a feeling of complacency is sure sign that deception is at work.
Yeah, it is similar to the Taiwan situation. There's this idea that, if they do try to take over Taiwan, it will begin with some of the outlying tiny islands that are a part of Taiwan or the Republic of China. That it'll be the same sort of thing. It'll just be a little bit at a time. But yeah, if they just throw everything at the main island of Taiwan, it would help if there was some stronger security backings from the West.
And I'm sure the Taiwanese are going to fight, and hopefully they'll be able to push back the PLA, and and hopefully it'll inspire the West and its allies to come to its aid. And if they're not successful, I hope they can conduct a guerrilla warfare against the PLA.
Do you think that's what's going to happen in Ukraine?
Oh, I'm sure some of it will happen, but at some point, it'll be it's a contest of wills. How much do the Ukrainians who are freedom loving are willing to sacrifice versus being under the iron fist of Putin and his military and his FSB, his intelligence net, his intelligence network that he'll be setting up. I'm sure that and the same thing is happening in Taiwan. The Chinese intelligence, the Chinese military, is conducting, a term I use is, and other people have used, intelligence warfare. They're trying to co-opt military personnel. They're trying to find out where everything is, where the military is, has stored its weapons, et cetera, et cetera. So that, this is a long-term process, and they've been developing what we call in the military an order of battle of your adversary. In this case, it's Taiwan. They're developing where everything is so that when they do attack, they'll be ready to do it.
Well, I guess in the worst case scenario, I'm just going to say, Mr. Putin, Mr. Xi, everything has been just a joke so far. Wasn't serious about it.
And then what we should do is we should fly in a bunch of U.S. military and show up with a bunch of ships and just park ourselves right in front of right in front of Taiwan and just say, oh, we're just going to stay here for a while.
That's what should happen.
It's just a cruise.
Yeah, beautiful. Open seas.
The Taiwan Strait is lovely this time of year.
And I'm sure the Taiwanese people would like to, have the U.S. Navy come ashore and help with some joint training and some other things that would surely piss off the CCP.